Hello everyone and welcome to the 10th episode of Learning Java. Today we'll be learning about the do-while loop and escape sequences. So last class I covered what the while loop is, and the do-while loop is fairly similar in syntax. So last class we saw that in a while loop we write while on the top, and then we write the boolean expression, and then in these brackets, between these brackets will be where all our statements go, where the entire code goes, which keeps on repeating unless and until this boolean expression is true. So a thing to note here is that these statements will be executed only if this boolean expression is true. So let's say this boolean expression is not true, so these statements will never be executed. For example, I should be greater than 0 is the boolean expression, and we do here int I is equal to 0. So in this case I is not greater than 0, so whatever the statements in this while loop are will never be executed unless and until you change the value of I and make it greater than 0. So then what is a do while? A do while loop is similar to a while loop, it's just that it is executed at least once. So you'll understand when I show the example. So the syntax of a do while loop is something like this. You write do, open bracket, close bracket, and then you write while. This is the boolean expression between the brackets, and then you put a semicolon. This is what a do while looks like. So this is where all your statements go. So you write do, then these open curly brackets, this is where all your statements go, close curly brackets, and after that you write while with your boolean expression, just like over here, and over here you put a semicolon. So this is what a do while loop looks like. Now you can already see the difference over here. In a while loop and in a for loop, the boolean expression comes on the top. So all the statements will be executed only if this boolean expression is true. But in the do while loop, the boolean expression comes at the end. So when the code is running, let's say there are statements above, all of these statements are executed. After that it comes to this. It doesn't see any boolean expression, so it directly goes to the statements. All the statements will be executed and then it will go to the boolean expression. If the boolean expression is true, then the loop will be executed once again. And then the loop will keep on executing as long as the boolean expression is true. So in brief, in both the while and the do while loop, the statements will keep on executing as long as the boolean expression is true. But in the do while loop, the statements are guaranteed to execute at least once. I'll give you a quick example. So in this case, I is equal to 0 and I is greater than 0. Over here, we'll write the same statement. I is greater than 0. So now let's see what the dry run of this code will look like. So this is our entire code. So first we declare int I is equal to 0. Then it's going to go to the while loop and it's going to check if I is greater than 0, which is not. So then it will not execute these statements. Then it's going to go to the do while loop. In the do while loop, there's no boolean expression over here. So all the statements over here are going to be executed. Then it's going to go to the boolean expression and it's going to see that I is not greater than 0. So it's going to come out of the loop and do whatever things you have written in the rest of the code. So in this case, even though the boolean expression was false, the statements were executed at least once. So that's the major difference between a while and a do while loop, is that the while loop is an entry controlled loop. So the entry is controlled by the boolean expression. But in a do while loop, the do while loop is a exit controlled loop. So the loop exits only if the boolean expression is false. So the while and for loop are similar in this scenario, as that both the while and the for loop are both entry control loops, as the body statements of the loop are executed only if the boolean expression is true. So that's the major difference between both the loops. So where is the do while loop used? So the do while loop is executed in cases where you have a menu driven program and you want the menu driven program to keep on executing until the user wants. It can be used in various other programs also. I'll give you one example right now. So here is an example of a do while loop. So first I declared my scanner and I declared the variable int I. So then it's going to go directly to the do while loop and is going to see the statement system.out.println enter a number greater than 5. So the user is going to see this. So the user is supposed to enter a number greater than 5, which can be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. So the number which the user enters is going to be stored in the variable I. And the Boolean expression over here is that I is less than equal to 5, which means that this loop, do while loop, will execute as long as I is less than equal to 5. So how is this useful? Let's say you have a program in which you don't want the program to terminate if the user enters a wrong value. So you want the program to keep on asking the user the value until he executes the correct value. In this case, the correct value will be a number greater than 5. So it's going to print system.out.println enter number greater than 5. So let's say the user enters the number 3, but we don't want the user to enter a number which is less than equal to 5. So it's going to go here. So I is 3 right now, so 3 is less than equal to 5. So that statement's true. So it's going to go again to the do while loop. It's going to print again all these statements because that's what we want the do while loop to do. It's going to print this again. So enter a number greater than 5, and let's say the user enters the number 4. It's going to again see that 4 is less than equal to 5. It's going to again go in this. But this time the user enters the correct value. He enters 7. So 7 is less than equal to 5. That's wrong. So it's going to come out of the do while loop. So in cases like these, when you want the user to input the correct value, you can continuously have a do while loop, as you want the loop to execute at least once. So let's see the output. So void main and enter a number greater than 5. Let's say I enter 3. Again, it's going to ask me to enter a number. Let's say I enter 4. Again, I enter -1. Again, let's say I enter 7. That's it. So the program terminates when I enter the correct value. So in these cases, the do while loop is useful. So now I'll be talking about escape sequences. So what are escape sequences? In short, escape sequences are basically shortcuts. So let me give you an example of escape sequences and then you'll understand better. So escape sequences are basically a backslash. So you can see on your keyboard there'll be there's a forward slash and this will be a backslash. So escape sequences can be called using a backslash. There are various escape sequences, and the ones which I'll be covering, which are the most used, are these. This is \n, \t, double quotes, single quotes. So these are the most widely used escape sequences and I'll be covering them. So what does this mean? This \n, \t, double quotes and semicolon. Let me give an example. Let's say I do system.out.println hello, and then I do system.out.println world. So this is the most basic program which everyone writes when they start programming. So what is going to be the output of this code? It's going to print system.out.print hello, and then since we have an ln over here, it's going to transfer the control to the next line, and it's then going to print world. So hello and world are going to be on two different lines. So now if we have to do something like this, we have to have two println statements, and let's say we wanted to print like a million times some other words, we had to keep on putting system.out.println again and again and again. That's a bit tedious. So this is where the first escape sequence is, which is \n comes in. So if I do system.out.println hello world, it's going to print the whole thing in the same line. But if I put a \n over here, then what is going to happen? So this is where the escape sequences come in, is that it's going to print hello, and then it's going to see an escape sequence. So it's going to transfer the control to the next line. So \n is basically like this ln. So as soon as this hello is printed, it's going to encounter this \n, and it's going to transfer the control to the next line, and then whatever is after that is going to be printed. So let's see what the output looks like. So again, hello and world are on two different lines. So this is what a \n looks like. You print hello, and then as soon as a \n is encountered, the control gets transferred to the next line, and then whatever is after that \n gets printed. So let's say if I have another \n, let's say if I have 1, 2, 3. So it's going to print hello, go to the next line, print world, again go to the next line, then print 1, 2, 3. So this is how an escape sequence works. So there's a space over here because after 1, 2, 3, because after the \n I put a space. So that's why it puts a space. So this is the function of \n. If you put \t instead of \n, what do you think is going to be the output? Let's see. So if I do void main, this is the output. So there are spaces over here. There are 5 spaces actually over here if you count. So what is happening with \t? What \t basically does, it inserts a tab space. So you know on your keyboard you have this tab thing which I'm currently pressing and it's skipping 4 spaces. So this \t acts as a tab. So whenever you have a \t, it's going to insert 4 spaces between the respective words. So I'll remove all these spaces and then it's going to print hello, and then you encounters the \t. So it's going to insert 4 spaces over here. Then it's going to print world, then it's going to again print 4 spaces, and then it's going to print 1, 2, 3. So I compile this, I do void main, and bam, there we go. This is what a \t does. It inserts a tab. Now you can even combine this with /n. You can have multiple escape sequences, so something like that. So if you have something like this, it's going to be hello, then it's going to have 4 spaces, then it's going to go to the next line, and then it's going to print world, 4 spaces, and then 1, 2, 3. So if I click on void main, it's something like this. You can see there are 4 spaces over here. So this is how it works. Now coming to \double quotes and \single quotes. Now let's say you want to print something like Java for beginners. So if I execute this statement, it's going to print Java for beginners in 1 line as we wished. Now let's say you want to print the beginner's word in double quotes for some reason. So you want to print something like this, but then we can't compile this because this string becomes 1 because you indicate a string by double quotes. So how can you print a double quotes? Because Java is going to take this as a string, only this as a string, and this will be an error. So it shows an error and you can't compile. So how do you print a double quote? So this is where the escape sequence \double quote comes in. So when we have to print double quote, we put a / over here, and whatever this character, this double quotes is, if we want to print this double quote, we have to put a / before it so that it indicates to the compiler to not take this into consideration as to indicate a string function. So even for this, we have to put a / over here. So the output is going to be something like it's going to print Java for, and then a / double quote. So it's going to print double quotes beginners, again a / double quote. So it's going to print double quotes. Note these 2 double quotes only indicate that it's a string. So we are going to do this, and bam, it prints / double quotes. Now the same thing also applies for single quotes. If you want a single quote as a single quote alone without making it a character, then you have to use the \. So let's say we initialize char ch is equal to this, and we want a single quote as the character. So this should be our character, but this, the compiler gives an error saying because this it takes as a character and this is just blank, like it doesn't have a matching for it. So it'll give an error. So to have this single quote as a character, again we need to put a \. In the same way as the double quotes, this / single quotes will indicate to the compiler to not take this into consideration as a single character code. So if we print system.out.println ch, then it's going to print a single quote. There you go. So if you want to initialize a character variable or for any other reason as a single quote where there's already a character, you can use this / single quote. Now let's say you want to print a \. How does that work? So let's say I'm doing system.out.println and I want to print a \. And when I compile this, the compiler gives an error again. I'll tell you why. So once you have this double quotes, these two double quotes indicate a string. But this particular escape sequence backslash double quotes indicates a double quotes, and this double quotes doesn't function as a string. So which means that we need to add another double quote. But if we add another double quote, then it's going to print this double quote, because this becomes the escape sequence backslash double quote. So how do we print a backslash? Print a backslash, we use the escape sequence backslash backslash. So if I put double backslash, this is indicating the escape sequence, and this is what we need to print. So in this case, it's going to print a single backslash. So if I want multiple backslash, I can just spam backslash over here, and it's going to print multiple backslashes. So the first backslash indicates that all these backslashes are supposed to be printed, and they don't indicate an escape sequence. So this is what the function of escape sequences are. We covered backslash n, backslash t, backslash double quotes, backslash single quote, and backslash backslash. So that's it for today, everyone. Thanks for watching, and if you have any queries, doubts, or suggestions, you can mail me. My mail will be in the description down below. And thanks again for watching.